Amanda confidently packed her suitcase for her weekend getaway, her movements fluid and assured. But when she reached for the handle, her fingers tightened in surprise, her knuckles turning white as she nearly staggered backward. The weight was wrong, far heavier than she had expected. She forced a laugh. "Oh, wow. Did you pack rocks in here?" Her eyes darted to me, searching for a reaction. I only shrugged, keeping my face carefully impassive. "You've got everything you need in there," I said, my voice perfectly even. "It's a special trip, after all." She leaned in, brushing a cold, disconnected kiss against my cheek before wheeling the suitcase toward the door. The small wheels squeaked under its unexpected weight as she rolled it outside, pushing it toward her car. I watched in silence, waiting until she had pulled out of the driveway and disappeared down the street. Only then did I let out the breath I had been holding. Her name was Amanda, and until recently, I would have said our marriage was happy, comfortable. We had our routines, our inside jokes, and our shared dreams. Or at least, I had believed we did. Then, 3 months ago, everything changed. It started with a single message. A text that she had carelessly left open on her phone while it rested on the kitchen counter. I hadn't been snooping, at least, not intentionally. But my eyes betrayed me when I saw the words. "I can't wait to see you this weekend. Miss you like crazy." It was signed with a name I didn't recognize. Brent. There was no Brent in our lives. No friend by that name, no coworker. I felt the floor drop out from under me, my stomach twisting into knots. But I didn't react, not right away. I had learned long ago that confronting something without proof would only lead to lies and denial. So I waited. I installed a keylogger on her laptop, capturing every email, every chat. I placed a GPS tracker in her car. I followed her, keeping a safe distance as she worked late at a posh downtown hotel. What I discovered was worse than I had imagined. Every excuse she had given me, every change of plans, every "I love you" she whispered before slipping out the door to meet him. It was all a lie, a sickening, calculated deception. And yet, I still didn't confront her. When she announced her weekend getaway with the girls, I almost laughed. She was so confident in her deceit, so sure of her ability to manipulate me. But I knew the truth. The friends she claimed to be traveling with were all conveniently unavailable to confirm her story. She wasn't a puppeteer. She was the puppet, and she had no idea that the strings had already been cut. I played the role of the trusting husband perfectly. I even helped her pack, watched as she selected outfits with care, choosing the ones I knew she'd wear to impress him. What she didn't know was that I had been packing too. But my suitcase wasn't filled with clothes. It was filled with evidence. Brent lived in an upscale condo on the other side of the city. I had been there more times than I cared to count, watching from the shadows, learning his routine. He was a high-level executive, polished and confident. The kind of man who likely never spared a thought for the husband of the woman he was sleeping with. Tonight, I would make sure he did. I parked down the street and waited, giving them enough time to settle in. Amanda's car was already there, parked crookedly in her haste to get inside. I had played this moment in my mind 1,000 times, but nothing could have prepared me for the raw intensity of it. My heart pounded. Adrenaline surged through my veins like fire. I knocked firmly. The door opened to reveal Brent, dark-haired and neatly dressed, his expensive watch catching the light. His confident smile faltered when he saw me. "Can I help you?" he asked, his tone cautious. "Oh, I think you can." I stepped forward. His hand twitched, as if debating whether to slam the door. I didn't give him the chance. "Hey, you can't just—" "Shut up, Brent." My voice was sharp enough to cut glass. "I need to talk to you." Amanda appeared in the hallway, her face draining of color. She clutched her robe tightly, as if it could shield her from the storm she had created. "What are you doing here?" she whispered. I ignored her, my focus locked on Brent. "You know who I am, don't you?" I asked. He swallowed hard. "I think you should leave." I laughed, a bitter, humorless sound. "Oh, I'll leave. But not before we have our conversation." I unzipped my bag and pulled out the first stack of photos, printed screenshots of their messages, hotel receipts, surveillance shots of their meetings. One by one, I scattered them across the coffee table like confetti. Brent's face drained of color as his eyes flicked between the damning evidence and Amanda. "You thought you were smart," I continued, my voice low and dangerous. "Did you think I was blind? Did you really believe I wouldn't notice?" Amanda flinched, tears welling in her eyes. "Can we talk about this privately?" she pleaded. I turned to her, my anger ice-cold. "Privacy? Now you want privacy? You made your choices, Amanda. Now you deal with the consequences." Brent looked like he was about to collapse. "I didn't mean for this to happen." "Save it," I snapped. "I'm not interested in your excuses. But your wife might be." Amanda gasped. "What?" I smiled coldly. "Oh yeah, I found her. Lovely woman. I'm sure she'll appreciate knowing what her husband has been up to." "Mark, please." Amanda's voice cracked, raw with desperation. I turned back to Brent, my gaze cutting through him. "And before I go, I'll make sure everyone in your professional circle knows exactly what kind of man you are." The silence behind me was deafening as I walked out the door. The fallout was swift and brutal. The next morning, I mailed every piece of evidence to Brent's wife, along with a personal apology for the pain it would cause her. Within a week, word spread through Brent's company. He was quietly asked to resign. As for Amanda, she begged for forgiveness, tried to justify, to explain, but I wasn't interested in her words. The divorce papers were already in motion. She left with nothing but the clothes on her back. It wasn't easy. But as I stood in my now empty house, I felt something I hadn't in a long time: freedom, and the satisfaction of knowing that justice had been served.